And this thing on? All right, here we go. This week on Gymwright Live, we interview Lindsay Crowell of Embody Fitness in Austin, Texas, to learn how she transitioned from a single owner operator personal training business to running a thriving gym in one of the most competitive fitness landscapes in the country. Now, if you're watching the show on Facebook right now and you do not see the little red light in the top corner of the screen, then you are watching the replay. So what I want you to do is type the word join in the comments below, which will get you access to the network. This is our free private Facebook group made up of over 1,700 motivated gym owners, where you will find tons of great conversations, interviews, and step-by-step how-tos of some of the most effective strategies out there for gym owners today. By the way, if you act now, this will also get you our free gym sales and marketing planner, which, if you like totally awesome growth tools, you should absolutely take advantage of. Plus, this will set you up to receive a quick reminder whenever we go live for this show, so you never miss an episode. Again, just type the word join now so you can get access to all this great stuff, so you can start taking your gym owner game to the next level right now. All right, let's get this party started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Gymwright Live. I am your host, Marcus Gurzy, and this week we welcome to the show very special guest and featured gym owner, Lindsay Crowell of Embody Fitness. Lindsay, it's a pleasure to have you on today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited about today's episode.
Awesome, as am I. Been looking forward to getting you on here for a while. Lindsay, you and I have been working together for quite some time. We met about a year ago when you first were in the process of acquiring your gym, and it has been a hell of a ride with you, and so many milestones have been met, and you've achieved a ton in a very short period of time, so I'm so excited to have you on here today. So that said, tell us a little bit about yourself before we met last year. How did you get into the fitness game to begin with?
Thank you so much for the introduction, Marcus. So for me, how I got into the game was kind of non-traditional. And I know like a little bit of the audience knows my background of my gym. It's a boutique fitness gym, and that's essentially how I got into the gym business. I was general population. It kind of started in graduate school. I was under a ton of stress and didn't really know how to manage that stress. So one day I just woke up and put on some running shoes, ran out the door, and just ran my little heart out. And so after I kind of got these endorphin highs, I was like, oh, wait, there's something to this whole fitness thing. Like other than physical, changes, I felt like a ton of mental changes as well through fitness. And so after that, still being in graduate school for occupational therapy, I just started doing more and more fitness related exercise classes. I started wakeboarding. That's how I met my husband. And I just really started adapting a healthy lifestyle. Fast forward to my just journey overall, I went into medical device sales after graduate school, and which is really stressful because you have to hit like sales goals.
That's right.
So kept doing fitness again and again just to kind of like calm my nerves and focus on my career and then my relationships outside of work. Got burnt out on that, took a break. I was financially set for a while because I did really well in sales, and I started getting asked to coach different people at the gym I was working out at. And I just did that and was playing around, had no intentions of doing anything more than just taking a hiatus from a career. And somebody noticed, actually Keith from PaleoFX, he noticed and he asked if I could come on and help coach because they were short-staffed. And so I did, again, no intention of it going anywhere. And I just fell in love with it. And as a coach, I had clients come in and ask me like, oh, I want to lose weight or I want to build muscle strength. But there was always a combination of those two, like building strength and then burning fat or, thinning out or whatever kind of buzzword they would use. Once I realized like, oh, clients are still asking for more, but all I can give them underneath somebody's roof is the workouts that I'm told to give them. And I just felt like that wasn't enough and it wasn't meeting the client's needs. And so that's when I just kind of branched out and did my own thing and did something that made sure like every part of their needs would get met and they would be able to develop a healthy lifestyle outside of the gym. And with that, they would be able to achieve their goals. And so I felt like I found something very unique, and I just started building more and more clientele because I was pretty much guaranteeing, like, most of my clients get results. It's like a very high, like 75 to 80% of my clients get results, measurable success. And so my business grew. I started renting space from a gym, and my business like outgrew that gym, and I was going to start looking somewhere else. And that gym owner approached me and asked me to buy the gym. And I was like, yeah, because I wanted my own like brand and methodology to grow. And here we are. I bought the gym, rebranded it as Embody Fitness, and now we're continuing to grow. Since I didn't really have any knowledge of what it meant to own a brick and mortar, because I was just like independent contract training before, that's when I reached out to you, because I just had that personality of like, why make things harder? Find someone who's already done it and has been successful, and then get them to coach you or mirror what they're doing. Like take the things that someone else is doing correctly and apply them to your regimen. And that way you don't have to like overcome the hardships alone. And that's essentially like why I reached out to you and started working with you from the beginning, because I didn't want to make, the journey was already tough, just signing my name on the dotted line for the brick and mortar. And, you know, we had to put our car up for collateral. Like our life was on the line essentially, or our quality of life was on the line. And I did not want to fail, and I wanted to make sure that I was utilizing all the resources at my disposal so I could be successful and not have to struggle as much.
Yep. We had a mutual friend, I think, that kind of pointed you in my direction, right? Was that Alex Macklin?
Yes. And
Shout out to Alex. What's up, dude?
I love you, Alex. You know that.
Alex is the man. Okay, so so you had your one-on-one business, and when we met, you were in the process of actually buying the gym, and your one-on-one business was basically maxed out. You couldn't even take on really any more clients at that point. So you were doing really well in that environment. So what pushed you to make the jump from successful one-on-one personal trainer to gym owner? I mean, life was pretty good already. Why make the leap?
You know, I think about that all the time.
I'm not sure why I did that.
Why do I still want more and more? I think it's just in our human nature to want growth, and it's very hard for me to say no to people. And my clientele just kept growing and growing, and their friends wanted the same results. Like I have a ton of moms now, because moms come to me like post baby, and they're like, I want to lose this baby weight, and this mom has lost it with me. And so now her friend wants to lose it with me. And then now her friend, like I literally have like 4 Jewish moms that live in Tarrytown that train with me, and they all go and get coffee afterwards. Like it's this environment that I create just by listening to the clients and providing them with the resources to be successful and sustain that. And so the original question is like, why take the extra leap of faith and essentially take that risk to grow? It's because I don't ever want someone to miss out on changing their lifestyle to better themselves because I decided to cap off how many clients I work with. I'm all about like increasing that reach, because I'm not teaching anything different than what like you're teaching at your gym. But clients listen to who they gravitate towards or to who they relate to. So I just wanted to grow and extend my message and just help the people that could relate to me and my story and grow that way. And that means like taking risks. Like if you want to help as many people as you can, you have to grow.
Yep.
And so that's what I just feel compelled to do that.
And that's actually a pretty different angle, I think, than where a lot of people come from, because most people, I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of people, when they are in that position, they're like, hey, life is really good. You know, I'm killing it. I'm making good money. I'm getting great results for my clients. Everybody's happy. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And in your case, and you know, and then maybe they're like, well, I could make more money or have more time or whatever it is if I switch to this other model, and that's their desire. But yours was a desire to just make a greater impact. And having worked with you now for the greater part of the last year, I know this to be true because even as we continue to grow and scale this business now, you're still doing that now with going out and doing these corporate presentations when we're already busting at the seams, and you can't help but continue to grow, which is, I think, is a pretty unique trait about you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you decided to buy your studio, and tell us a little bit about the gym you purchased before you took it over. It was a totally different business then, was it not? Like name and all.
I mean, so the name was different. The business model was different. The clientele was different. And just to be honest, I didn't understand what it truly meant to buy a gym. I thought that it was a great idea if you bought a gym that was going down, because then you can take you could get it cheap. I was like, okay, this is a great like investment opportunity. You get something cheap that's broken and then you fix it. In reality, if you have your own values and like methodology and you buy a gym, which is what I did, and try to change that, now I know like that's way harder. You should just do it from scratch. So how it was before is the clientele was a lot older than what I typically train with, and I train across the lifespan, but the clientele was like 40% made of individuals that were 65 or older.
Mm-hmm. Which I believe the previous owner was older as well, right? So this is obviously was appropriate for her.
Right. It's appropriate for her, and the other trainers that were working there are older too. And so it was contract. So if you were a trainer and you wanted to work there, you just paid a rental fee, and that was it. And there was an open gym membership, but there was like 2 or 3 classes that were very random and very low level, like lower than a beginner. Mm-hmm. Nothing that I would typically coach. Mm-hmm. And it was not taken care of. There was no TLC in that building, and that's essentially why I think it was up for sale and why it was intriguing that I was growing, is that it just wasn't being taken care of, essentially.
Sure.
Nobody was marketing. Nobody was doing upkeep for the space. They weren't innovating. They weren't selling. It was kind of stagnant.
Sure, and that's oftentimes the case when you have an owner maybe who was burnt out, or maybe was doing this on the side and thought it would be easier than it actually was, and so therefore it may get neglected and all that. And that's where a lot of these gyms become available for purchase. And you lucked out because this is a place you were already kind of set up in doing your business, running your personal training business out of, and gave you the perfect opportunity to transition the clients you had. They were already familiar with coming to the space for the most part, and then taking this over. And then we totally revamped the whole model. I mean, top to bottom, because your vision was very different from what was there. And so we had to kind of stair step our way from this totally different demographic, an older business model, to your new vision moving forward, and had to make sure that all went off without a hitch. And to your credit, you did so with flying colors. So what would you say was the biggest challenge when you first took it over?
Oh my God.
You got to pick one.
Just like trying to implement changes within the space. I mean, you remember, and it's going to sound funny to the general audience, but anyone who lives in Austin or has visited Austin is a huge dog-friendly place. You can take your dog anywhere here. I am not a dog person. Like, I like them. They're cool. I pet them, but they shed. They come from you. Like, I know. Like, I just like do the bare minimum with dogs. I like small, cuddly dogs, but most people have big dogs here. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway.
You're in Texas.
So there was a dog policy there, and you had like 3 trainers bringing in 3 different dogs. And literally, like, the day I bought it and signed my name on the dotted line, I implemented a no dog policy, and it was like shit hit the fan. It was so so chaotic. And I mean, that was like the number one lesson, is like you don't flip a switch. when you buy something, you kind of let it, you gather data of how things are running, and then you implement like a slow change, is what I would recommend in the future. Is like just implement slow changes and over communicate expectations. That's what I learned like right off the bat. You have to over communicate.
No
Like
doubt.
this is why we can't have that many dogs in one space, because when you have 3 trainers on the floor and 3 dogs and 4 clients and they're, shedding everywhere and people are walking on it, it's just,
Tell us how you really feel.
oh my God.
Good times. So, so where are we with the business today? Right. So when did you buy it? When was the
I,
purchase? Was it April last year?
yeah, it was like May 15th, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you bought it in May. Here we are coming up on a year
Yes.
now later. Where are we? What has changed in the business?
What hasn't changed? So we have a limited dog policy.
Yes. Starting with the dog policy,
We
priorities.
have vacuums. So it's very clean. I Marie Kondoed the whole thing. So it's a really, really clean. You go in there and essentially I maximize floor space so that way I can bring more trainers and more clients onto the floor and the client experience is maintained. So that's essentially what I wanted to focus on, is the client experience. And with that, I've doubled the classes that I offer, and I'm still growing the amount of classes to be offered in the future. And that has really just brought the whole community back together. I've implemented like events every other month. And I didn't tell you this, but we're going to do a pop-up at Kendra Scott in Congress Street. Yes, yes.
Nice.
And this is like their flagship stores. And they have champagne that they'll bring. And then they're going to bring in like a nail manicure person. And then Outdoor Voices is collaborating. So I'm able to do like these fun events with the community, and people love it and they want to keep coming and everyone knows their name. And then we don't do contract trainers anymore, like period. So now all the trainers that are working there are very much in line with the brand of Embody Fitness brand, and they're really focusing on making sure that they're listening to the clients, providing the resources needed to implement healthy lifestyle habits, whatever that means to them, pairing people together who are on a similar journey, like moms. Like if you are Jewish and you're a mom, you need to hang out and come to this group class. Like you'll spend time, like things like
There's
that.
coffee to be had afterwards.
Yes, yes. And now we're creating like honestly like a little couch space where people can sit and have coffee and talk before or after class or before their personal training session. And it's just I'm so grateful for where it is now, because now my clients are literally going on retreats together. They literally had 2 clients who had never like met before 6 months ago, and they went on a Viva Day Spa retreat up in North Austin like 2 weekends ago. And I'm like, that's a big deal.
That is
Like,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome watching the evolution. So for those watching here, what we did largely was you had your personal training business and you bought a gym business that was very much your kind of like a mini Globo gym format, where the trainers were kind of each did their own thing, were responsible for providing their own program. It was I want to say kind of your free for all model, if you will. It wasn't like there was, hey, all of the classes today are going to do this workout or follow this standard. It was all individual, right? And so what was important to you was we wanted to really carry over what you were doing for the individual clients, turn that into a group program, and then make that consistent throughout the day and make the business revolve mostly around the group program, which is more scalable, allows you to make that greater impact that you were after, so we can actually impact more people. And then the premium layer on top of that then is the one-on-one, in which now you have coaches that work for you rather than you have just contract people. You have coaches who work for you who are delivering the Lindsay program, right? So your method, your system is now what the product is, and it's obviously working like gangbusters because you're killing it. And you're developing a staff that's going to now deliver this program on your behalf. And we're now starting to transition you from just getting this business to work for you to where we're now scaling, we're building the team, you're doing corporate presentations and bringing in huge batches of people at a time, which, I mean, you're almost at capacity now for this facility. I mean, we're thought this would be a conversation we wouldn't have until later this year. And a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it, we're realizing we have to already start thinking about how are we going to cap wait lists and all that stuff, which is an awesome problem to have. And I would attest all of that to your hard work, your dedication. You are an absolute wrecking ball when it comes to getting things done, because you bring a really positive attitude. You're coming from the right place, but you're willing to do the work. And I was telling my wife this morning, I was so pumped to interview you today and share your story, because I think for a lot of people watching, it's very easy for us to make excuses around, this was hard, or this was not. You were coaching, not when you first took this thing over, and even not that long ago, you were coaching like 12 hours a day, every day, something to that effect. Your schedule was insane, and you were still doing your intro sessions. You were still closing almost everyone who came in. You were still following the majority, or at least the important parts of the marketing programs that we put in place. And here you are now in a very short period of time, and you have built a badass business in a super competitive market. So hat off to you, Lindsay. Good work.
Yeah. I mean, it is tiring to go through that transition, but essentially, again, I assume like all the audience are gym owners. It's like, you signed up for this. And that's kind of what I have to tell myself. And it's just like even getting up at 4:15 a.m. every morning, every single morning I get up, and I don't even tell myself that I'm tired, because what's the point? I mean, you get up at 5 a.m. versus 4 a.m., you're probably still going to be tired at 5 a.m., still going to be tired at 4 a.m. So just get up and don't even worry about if you're tired or not, and put in the work.
That's it. What would you say were some of the biggest standout breakthroughs or aha moments for you in your journey?
Aha moments? Gosh, so I think this generation, I'm in this generation, and I think this generation is we want instant gratification. I want it all the time. So.
Well, who doesn't? Sounds great.
Right?
Why wait when I can have it right now?
Yeah, my clients want that too. They want instant gratification. So I think just learning, you have to be patient. And if you identify gratitude every single day and you practice patience, you will reap the reward you set out to get. I am very impatient. Want to redo the welcome area, want to do this pop-up at Kendra Scott. I want it done now. And I have to wait and put in the work on the back end so I can reap the benefits in the future. And a lot of this has to do with marketing. Marketing, sometimes that's a slow return on investment. Investing just in general in your space. I'm going to do investment in the welcome area, and that might not yield a return on investment in the first month, but know that you're putting in slow incremental changes that will compound to something that is bigger. So that was a big aha moment. It's Lindsay, all this stuff will come. You will eventually have full classes. You'll eventually be on a waiting list for classes. You'll eventually add more classes, and you'll eventually have another trainer to work underneath you. But just kind of being patient in the process, and just being okay, well, if I want a trainer to work underneath me and I want his classes to be full, what do I need to do today so I can see that in the future? I think I still work on that, but it's that's an aha moment. Oh shit, it doesn't come today or even tomorrow. It'll come next week, next year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You even when you didn't want to, and I knew you didn't want to, and we work on something like time management, or your time blocks and your reprioritization and recalibrating when you're I'm so tired, I don't have time to do this, or I'm getting just pulled in too many directions. You would still do the work, and that to me is always the sign of someone who I know is going to be successful, because it's never a straight line. It's rarely easy, and if it was easy, you probably missed some steps that are going to come around and smack you in the face later. And, it is a constant, like, you're always being pulled in these different directions. It's this constant like balancing act between, productivity and just getting out there and grinding and just putting yourself out there. And, you would constantly be willing to recalibrate, where, when I try to have this conversation with other clients, oftentimes it's met with excuses or resistance, or like, oh, but that sucks, but I just want this now. What's the shortcut now? And it's like, you realize if we take the shortcut now, that may scratch the itch today, but you're going to be really upset for the next 3 months when you're cleaning up the mess and still have to keep doing the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
The other stuff isn't going to go away. We have to go through this order of operations in building the business and putting core systems in place, and for yourself first and foremost, right? First, it's get out there and just start doing. Then it's let's start organizing and let's start putting a method to the madness so we can start becoming more efficient, more effective. Then let's start bringing people in to now start taking these systems one by one off of your plate, so while you can, in a manageable way, which is what we're doing right now, is continuing to build out little system one after the next, taking things off of your plate, but you're still able to manage and measure so that it doesn't just fall off into the background and then blow up in your face 6 months from now. And being able to continue doing that over and over, it feels sometimes when you're in the middle of it, like, is this going to end? I want that satisfaction now. But as you can see, we're less than a year from where we started, and you are where most people wish they were 5 years into running their gym, 7 years into running their gym. And it's because you're always willing to go back to these core practices. Everything is built on a foundation, right? Yeah. And if the foundation is not sound, it doesn't matter how cool your skyscraper is, because once you get halfway up, it's going to tip over and fall apart, right? Yeah. And that's where we're spending that time and that initial, like, those foundational things, because I can tell you right now, I mean, the discussion we had last time we spoke was around, where are you going to go next? What is the next big step? And that's exciting. That's an exciting conversation to be able to have, because I can see where I want to say sound corny, but you're destined to do big things with the way that you work. And that's always fun for a coach when you've got someone who's like chomping at the bit to go at the next thing, and I want to go bigger, I want to go faster, and yet is still willing to do the work.
Yeah. And I mean, it's uncomfortable at times, but
a lot of the times.
Right. But it's something I always remind myself is I got into this business because I fell in love with fitness. And as an athlete myself and someone who was competitive, like, you have to be comfortable with uncomfortable. And that's where the growth happens. That's where you can be focused and lift that weight that you didn't think you could lift, or run that mile in a time you didn't think you could run. So just staying in that uncomfortable box and know that it's only temporary, but that's where the growth is. And eventually you'll be comfortable with that uncomfortableness. And then we'll go to the next step and and it'll all start over again.
Awesome. Well, all right. Question I like to ask every guest, Lindsay. In one sentence, what is a piece of advice you'd like to give to any gym owner listening today?
So I love this question, because for me, like, my biggest pet peeve is just individuals who are business owners, no matter if it's a box or not, know that failure is never an option. Like, don't put that in your vocabulary, because when you put that option on the table, then you won't be resourceful and looking at what can happen or what can help your business. I think too many people, you were saying earlier, like, excuses come into play. If you think you can fail, then you can fail. And so just not making it an option. Like, you signed up to be a business owner. Yeah, it's probably harder than what you thought, or at least in my case. But when you have, your husband's car up for collateral, and, now people's paychecks up for collateral, like, failure is not an option. So put in the work and be resourceful, so that way you never have to feel that ultimate in failure that closes everything down.
Love it. Yeah, it isn't. There's a quote I'd love to share, which is, it isn't about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness, right? And I think that's speaks to what you're saying now, when it's just figure out how to make it happen. Yeah. If you put failure as one of the options, now you might just grab it. So awesome.
You're comfortable.
Yeah. So, okay, Lindsay, well, where can people find more about you and Embody Fitness?
So you can follow me on Instagram. The gym is at Embody Fitness ATX on Instagram. And then my personal one is Lifestyle by Lindsay, spelled with the AY.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. That's where you can find.
And you offer not just the in-person stuff that you do, but I understand you also do, with your Lifestyle by Lindsay stuff, you do remote programs and like full on, I don't want to say life coaching, but it's you combine training with mindfulness and just overall well-being that you do remote for people as well. So if people watching this are digging your style, they can reach out to you and learn more about that stuff too, right?
Absolutely. And that whole, like, it's just a healthy lifestyle. Just like, as coaches, you got to eat clean, train to get the results you want, and then have a balance so that way you're not losing your mind. We can all work and sustain that.
Awesome. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on, and thank you for sharing your story with everyone.
Thank you for having me, Marcus.
My pleasure. And I want to thank all of you motivated gym owners out there for joining us today as well. If you are interested in getting access to our private Facebook group, then type the word join in the comments below so you can get access right away. And again, this will get you access to our 2019 sales and marketing planner as well. So don't delay. And also, if you'd like to watch this show live, you can join this conversation every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the network. Thank you again for your support. Now get out there and build something that matters. We'll see you guys again next week. Bye-bye.